What's up, Alchemist? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom, the Full Data Alchemist, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of cybersecurity. I know we've been covering a lot of Python and different areas and alchemists, data analysts, but I am also a cybersecurity professional, and cybersecurity is one of my biggest passions. I really enjoy it, and just seeing all the different attacks that are going on out there today, I want to be able to provide some type of value to everyone who's out there who may not know cybersecurity or understand how it works and how to protect themselves online to make sure that their data is not being stolen. And if anyone is paying attention, our digital world and data are under attack, and many people are having their data stolen left and right. Truthfully, there's not a lot we can do to ensure that these tech companies are taking the proper steps to protect our data and information. And the truth is that they have real no obligation to. So it truly falls to us to control what we can protect and ensure our data and personal information stay out of the wrong hands. And we talk about data, Python and SQL and all these cool things to make these pretty charts and reporting metrics, but not just about that. And security, we always see these cool videos of becoming like this elite hacker and getting all these certifications to become like an amazing, security guru or tech guru. But it's also about making sure the people who are not getting into those industries are understand how to protect yourself from online dangers and keeping the data that you're working on secure and only for the eyes it's meant to see, access it, change it, and restore it in the event of a failure. And the best thing you can do for yourself is get educated in security and having a basic understanding. It's important because it truly involves you from your daily life and your business life. The wrong click means your personal data or business data could be stolen. So let's jump into this and break down some of the essential fundamentals at high level and show you how they impact your digital life. And in a later post, we'll go into more detail. Are you ready to become a cyber alchemist? Let's jump into this. So let's start with the CIA Triad. No, not that CIA, the Security CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, availability. I also like to include in the middle of that triad, which I look at as a triangle, in the middle of that, you have accountability. Because if something fails in that triad, someone has to be held accountable. If there's no accountability, what's the point? So we're going to start with confidentiality. And this is like keeping your secrets safe. So imagine you have a diary. Inside the diary, you're writing your most inner secrets, and you have a lock on it. Keep it secure so no one can get into it. So they can read your entries. In the digital world, we do something similar, but we use something called encryption to lock our data. And each person or a system that needs to see the data will have a special set of keys to unlock that encryption. You can think of like when you go to Amazon.com and you buy your product, you normally see like HTTPS, which is the hypertext transfer protocol, over SSL. We'll get into that later. And that allows you when you're communicating with your computer's communicating with Amazon, your connection is encrypted between that website and their servers, so no one else can actually look at what you're doing. Your credit card information is being sent to the servers securely. Your personal information is being sent to that information securely. So everything data in transit or data in motion is being secured at that moment. That data that is going across the wire or across the radio waves, if you're on Wi-Fi, being encrypted, and no one can just view that data and say, hey, that's Tom, the Full Data Alchemist credit card number, and that's where he lives, and we're going to steal that and go buy whatever the hell we want because now we have his credit card information. On the same spin of that, you also have confidentiality at rest. Might have data at rest, data on your hard drive, a massive database. Usually, when data is at rest, you're going to encrypt at the hard drive level or to database level. So when it's sitting there and people want to access it, they might need a password to type in to actually unlock that encryption and see all the data. So that's how confidentiality works. It's usually some type of password or some type of public and private key being passed across different wires or radio waves to unlock the encryption. Now that's confidentiality. We're going to move into integrity. And this is making sure that no one messes with your diary entries. So imagine you have your data locked. You have your keys. You locked your diary, but now you have. You don't want people, so you locked it, but you don't want people to get in there and make changes to it. So maybe you have like a special code somewhere that after you unlock it, you have to do something else that will allow you to do a checksum against all the different entries you put into your diary. So if something does change, you'll be able to see it right away. So same thing like in our cyber world, we use tools like hashing, MD5, SHA-2, and we'll get more on these later. But this ensures that the data isn't altered. So in the digital world, if someone does try to tamper with your data, we can detect it because that hash checksum has changed. We'll get more into that later. I think that's more advanced topic to discuss, but just know that there's a checksum that if your data changes in any way, shape, or form, we can run this thing called an MD5 or SHA-2, which is a hash which allows you to actually see on this given date the data looked like this. You run that same MD5 checksum against it, and they match. If 3 days later that data changed, and you take that same MD5 or SHA-2 hash and you run it again, and 3 days later the data's changed, we know something happened with data and it's been altered, and now we have to track back how did that data alter. That's what integrity is for, making sure that the data was not changed. So we'll jump into availability. Availability ensures that your data and services are accessible when you need them. So imagine you have your diary and you put it into a vault, but it's locked away in a vault you can no longer access. So that becomes an issue because your diary is no longer accessible to you, and you can no longer available to you. You can't access it. You can't do anything with it. And this is just like our servers. If Amazon.com were to go down today, it's not available to you. You can't go to it. You can't access it. You can't buy it. Maybe you food shop through there, and you can't food shop anymore because it's down. And you might have to wait for it to come back up. But in the cyber world or digital world, we use things like backups to restore the data and make sure the data comes back to a specific point in time that has the most recent backup that we had, and brings back whatever files and whatever information that was potentially lost in the server crash. We can bring that back up. We also have redundancy or redundant systems. Amazon has server one. Server one decides to take a digital nap, and everything now on server one moves over to server two, and seamlessly it kicks up, and the users who are using Amazon can jump in and continue buying their products and never really notice a different thing. And it helps keep everything running smoothly. So availability for us in the digital world is making sure that 99.99999% of the time we have like a 0.010000001 fail rate to make sure that those servers are up as much as possible, so we can you can do what you need to do, access what you need to access, and buy what you want to buy. The last, and probably one of the most important aspects of all this, is accountability. I believe it's the most important because if any of the above three fail, we need to know how it failed, what caused it to fail, who caused it to fail, because someone always needs to be accountable. Accountability helps us understand that mistakes have consequences and lessons are learned. In the digital world, to track accountability, we use audit trails and logging to keep track of who did what and when. So imagine your diary, every time you unlock it, has a digital lock and makes an entry of that lock, of who entered it at a specific point in time, and you can see when it was accessed. Well, now you're now home, and on 6/3/2024 on 8:50 p.m., your diary is unlocked. Well, now you have a log of that, and there's only 3 people who live with you. So one of those people are now going to be accountable for accessing your diary, breaching your confidentiality, possibly ruining the integrity, and potentially ripping out a page which is no longer available to you. So all 3 of those are now compromised. Who's accountable for that? So I believe that's one of the most important aspects of all those, because we have to hold someone accountable. And in the cyber world, that could be the cyber manager, that could be the chief technical officer, that could be the chief information security officer. So there's a bunch of people who end up being accountable. It could be an analyst because they just didn't do something correctly and misconfigured the application, which allowed an attacker to come in through a port and wreak havoc on the actual systems. So and that's how we use the digital world. We used audit trails and logging to keep track of who did what and when, and we can then track back to different, various reasons of if it was an outside attack, IPs, MAC addresses, tracing back things like that. But it really does help hold people accountable and ensure that they're following the rules. And remember, in a digital space, every click that you do leaves a digital footprint. So the premise of this is to keep everyone safe online. This is really just a crash course in the CIA Triad and accountability, and why they're extremely crucial for you, how they kind of work in your daily life. And I believe that staying informed and vigilant is the key to staying safe online. So feel free to ask any questions, share your thoughts, any comments below. I would love to keep these discussions going as I make more videos for these. The next topics are going to be around risk management, authorization, security policies and procedures, and non-repudiation, which is another big one. Non-repudiation is, really ensuring that you did something when you said you did it, and you can't dispute that you didn't, that you did it. So it adds an extra layer of checks there. So we're gonna just dive into those next video, and then we'll probably start getting into phishing and things like that as well, to really make this fun. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative and helpful. Leave comments down below. I would love to hear any stories, or if you're in security, leave your comments below of being in security. If you ever had any type of breaches, I'd love to discuss those and how you got around them, and what were your best practices to not let that happen again. So I thank you all for listening, and I'll check you in the next one. Peace out, alchemists.